Now, the receiver for the liquidated savings and loans companies has once again extended the deadline for depositors to submit their debts, actually proved to show that they are indeed working with that company. Well, let's get more details on that one. This report that I put together. Mr. Nipa in the public notice disclosed that depositors of these liquidated savings and loans companies have up until next Friday, October 18, to submit the necessary proof that these institutions that have been closed down are indeed indebted to them. According to the receiver, up to next Friday, it can conclude that there are no outstanding claims. It appears the receiver, since it took over these institutions, has struggled to get these depositors to submit the necessary documents to support their claims. In a related development, the receiver is threatening to take legal action against persons and institutions that are indebted to these collapsed savings loans companies as well as finance houses. The receiver argues that it's being forced to go this way because some of these firms just don't want to pay these debts. The Bank of Ghana on 16th of August 2019 revoked the licenses of 23 insolvent savings and loans companies. It then appointed Eric Nananipa to manage the process. Already we understand that the receiver has started paying a fraction of the depositors' claim. The plan is that they will settle part of it, the rest paid later. Let's do some telecom news because the telecom operators might have to take up the initial cost of implementing the communication service tax, which began on October 1 this year. Now, this because the Ghana Revenue Authority is insisting that implementation date for the tax should be from September 4. There is more in this report. Based on the official communication sent to the telcos, the mobile operators were directed to start implementing the communication service tax from September 4. This meant that the operators were supposed to start the required deductions from the customer's credit at that time. However, due to challenges in calibrating their systems, especially for their postpaid customers, some of the telcos pushed its implementation to October 1. They then went ahead to propose this date to the Ghana Revenue Authority, but it appears this was not accepted. Now, based on this development, it appears the telcos may have to take care of this cost that should have been taken up by consumers. That is from September 4 to October 1. We are not sure for now whether the telcos will really absorb this cost or pass it on later to consumers. We are learning that the Ghana Telecom's chamber is not giving up on this and is still engaging the Ghana Revenue Authority and the Finance Ministry with the proposed date to be accepted. Government increased the communication service tax from 6% to 9%. Now, based on these changes, if you buy 1 cedi credit, the real value that you enjoy is 93 pesos, while 7 pesos would go to the state as the communication service tax. Government is hoping to realize 524 million Ghana cedis in revenue by the end of this year from this levy. Let's do some issues relating to government and its expenditure because it has promised to provide the required funding for all ongoing road projects, that is for this year. Now, this will ensure that it closes the chapter on funding for infrastructure projects before getting into an election year. Finance Minister Keno Furata says lessons have been learned to ensure that we don't get into this challenge again, especially after an election year.
The budget deficit, clearly indicates, what the capacity to restrain our expenditures. And we have to do that. I mean, the roads issue, we are going to solve it this year, which means that tension will be gone for next year. And then we just have to manage. I think there's a certain quietness and firmness at the Ministry of Finance that will go through 2020 to make sure that all of the gains that we have had these 3 years will not be eroded. Rebasing of inflation, some will say that is it more, could it push you a little bit to spend a little bit because it's quite a good level, or despite the rebasing, we will still be committed to how we do things and all the rest? I mean, the original target was 8 plus or minus percent. So 7.8 is risen. I suspect the central bank is going to recalibrate, and maybe bring it down to 6% as a target. So we can't rest on our oars. We need to make sure that the basket is as it should be, food prices are down, free education continues, and just ease the burden on the citizens.
Therefore, you don't think that it will put pressure on you to spend a little bit because the numbers are quite good?
No, we can't. I mean, the issue really, I have to watch my deficit. It can exceed 5%, and I have to bring it much lower than that.
Let's do oil now, because the historic drilling of Springfield Oil on the West Cape 3 Points Block 2 should last for about 3 months. Now, this was after Springfield commenced drilling in this area. According to a statement issued by the firm at exactly 6:50 p.m., the crew on the board, the Center for Drillship, officially commenced the campaign. The exercise will actually test what is in that area, in the east area, which is hold the discovery resources. And the Centennial Fort sailed to the current location on Friday, October 4, from Guyana, and commenced operation almost immediately after the situation actually started. So when should commercial production start? Now, that is the question we posed to the Group Chief Executive Officer of Springfield, that is Kevin Otrey.
We are starting drilling, as I said, end September, early October. I think we will be in a better position by the end of this year, before the end of this year, to tell you, because by that time we'll be well informed. I don't want to give information that I'm not 100% accurate, but what I can assure you is that our strategy is to get into production as quickly, safely, and efficiently as possible. So, we intend to be in production as soon as possible, but it has to be technically feasible, and we have to make sure that all safety issues are taken care of. So, I mean, that is our agenda, to be in production.
Now, how challenging has it been for you as an indigenous firm to operate in this space where so much capital is required, regulatory issues and all the rest, and all those challenges? Has it been that easy for you, or it's been quite challenging?
It hasn't been easy. It hasn't been easy, but then again, you have to understand what in life that is good, that is easy. Nothing in life is easy. If you want to build a house, it takes you 3 years, 2 years, 1 year, 10 years. If you want to break down the house, it takes you just a few days or 1 day just to break down a whole house. It's been very challenging because our industry doesn't have any Ghanaian companies leading as we are. So when the laws were made, we didn't factor in local content laws specifically for exploration and production companies, whereas we pay the same fee that certain big multinational companies pay. They are lucky to have very good interest rates if they are to borrow in certain countries as compared to our borrowing rates over here. So if you are competing with them, sometimes not competing with them per se, but your cost of production might be higher because of your cost, cost of borrowing and other things as compared to theirs.
And that was Kevin Otrey. He's the managing director of Springfield. And actually yesterday, we understand the drilling started, and you can see on your screens the ship and actually the drill pictures and what actually happened on the West Cape 3 Points area. That's a center fort drill machine that actually commenced. And the pictures actually tells you when they were actually on the seabed trying to extract the oil. And that's the vessel over there performing that activity. And the reason why we may have been excited about this is because this is the first time a local firm is leading such exploration in the country. That's the center Fort Drill Max ship over there that you can see when they were in the West Cape 3 Points area doing the extraction. And that is the machine going down to try and extract or make the wells or drill the wells to get more details as in what deposits are down there. And we all hope that indeed history will be made when they finally struck those crude oil in commercial quantities for them to start working on them. We understand that could happen very, very soon. It could be a good time to take a short break, and we will be right back. This is Marketplace. Welcome back. Let's do some airline stories, because the country manager of KLM Royal Dutch Ghana, Dick van Radzen, says his outfit is engaging the government to reduce the cost of operations in the country. He was speaking to Joy Business at the 100th year of existence of KLM at his residence, Netherlands ambassador to Ghana here in Accra.
We have now 14 flights a week, which is a lot. I think the combination Air France KLM is the biggest one in this country. If you compare the number of passengers we operate and we travel to and from Ghana, compare it to the competition, we are by far bigger. We had last year our share of local passengers in this airport was 15% of all the airport passengers, all the visitors or people leaving. 15%, 1 out of 7 was in KLM Air France. Negative part about Ghana, if you look here at the environment and the cost of operating, I have to say Ghana is not the most competitive country in West Africa. The airport tax, $100 economy class, $150 business class is pretty high. If I look what we pay on handling fees and other fees, they are high. Now, even the fuel, if you compare it to Europe, the fuel is about 20% higher here. It is more expensive, but I think that is part of doing business in this country. And every carrier knows that, and you accept it, and you operate, or you don't operate. What I'm trying is to talk to the government to see if we can lower the cost, and be it the airport taxes or be it something else, but the cost of operating into this country is pretty expensive.
Have you already engaged the government?
I spoke to the Minister of Aviation and I spoke to the Minister of Trade.
And what was the response?
I know when I had the absolutes, I made a comparison about Ghana and the rest of Africa. Now, then clearly Ghana is higher than the rest of Africa. And they said they will have a look at it. There is no different say, there is nothing, but let's wait.
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah? Thank you.
So what is government's response to the concern raised by KLM? Let's hear from the Aviation Minister, Kofi Adda.
It's not only concerns of airlines, there's concerns of passengers as well. We also think the tickets, the fares are high, and they think they're not high, and they think the charges that should not be there. We've asked for them to give us papers, research papers, detailing all the implications of the numbers, so that we can approach the Minister of Finance and let them know what they can do about it. They're not able to bring that to us. Every time we keep telling them, they don't come back to us. We try to do our own bit, but if they do not open up their books or volunteer information for us, we cannot really do what will benefit them. It's all a matter of competition. If you have more airlines in the system flying, all competing for passengers, I'm sure they'll try to lower their fares so that they can take on the passengers. There are others who argue that there are other things that are on the books of the airline that should not be. That we all have to pry through and know the issues behind that so that we can resolve them as government through policy formulation. If you have an ailment, you don't let the doctor know your ailment, how would they give you medication? And that's a simple matter. So if you tell them that this matter that you think is affecting your operations, you want us to find a better policy for you, then let us know the implication of what you're saying to us. How does that affect your operations cost-wise? And we also weigh that against what it means to us in terms of revenue generation to government, to be able to build the hospitals, be able to build the roads and provide education and so on and so forth. So you have to weigh all of that and decide by policy what is the best way to deal with this matter. We want to have the airlines flying, want to have connectivity improved, want to be able to make it affordable for all of us. And so they are good partners in this game, and they must come halfway for us to know what is affecting them that we can resolve. So.
Now, if you've been following development in the airport space at the Kotoka International Airport, there's currently some argument about how to deal with that $400 million cost of that terminal. The minister has been sharing some details on what government is doing.
The airport passenger service charge was escrowed into an account to be used to service the loan, so they've been doing that dutifully. It's constraining them. It's making it difficult for them to be able to contract other facilities to expand the airport. In fact, this Friday, we're going to have a detailed presentation on the implications of the loan and how far they've gotten with that. It's only after that meeting that I will have detailed information for you. But certainly, it's a loan that was contracted for good reason, but may not have had the best of terms. I think, yes, I've given confidence to the banks to pledge the APSC charges. It's something that was required by their thinking at the time, but they don't have to go as far as escrowing the entire 100% of it. That's what is giving them problems. So they're cash strapped. It's difficult for them to manage even operations, so they cannot even go in and do any major infrastructure projects. And that's why we think it will be good for us to look at creative ways to think outside of the box how to get this done. And definitely investors would be the best way out.
Thank you very much, sir.
Okay.
Let's get back to issues relating to finance and banking, because the managing director of the Stanbic Bank and president of the Ghana Bank Association, Hassan Andani, has given his full support to Bank of Ghana over plans to try and regulate the use of dollars in the system. And the Bank of Ghana recently actually started an exercise where they will forward sell dollars to businesses and commercial banks in the country. So Hassan Andani believes that that could be the best way to go to ensure that the city remains fairly strong.
I think that's positive. That is positive. This is about the point that, again, the panelist was making. The firms like to see stability. So when you go into this false contrast, then you have a runway that you can actually plan on. Whatever activity you are doing, the stability in your production cost and there's some stability in your final output price. And the economy moves forward in a more orderly manner, more predictable, and all the agents can work to a certain plan, which is good.
But is that the best way to control the current situation in the CD and dollar ratio?
Well, for me, the best thing to do is to plan. To fail to plan is plan to fail, isn't it? So this forward contrast is to focus everybody's mind. Anybody who is generating foreign exchange, and most importantly, those who are requiring foreign exchange into the future, must plan. To say that if I generate foreign exchange and it's coming in 6 months' time, how much CDs do I need at that point in time? So at what rate should I sell my dollars to be able to have the CDs to do what I want to do? On the reverse side, if I am importing, I must be able to plan how much FX I need over my budget period and when I can get it and how much. I factor that into my prices today, so there's stability. So it's the right thing to do. It's the most efficient way for us now to manage the FX, yeah.
Well, customer service has always been considered as key tool in promoting business growth and customer loyalty. As Customer Service Week is marked, Karen Dodu finds out from some customers, if needed, the customer service has improved over time.
So the customer is always right. That is something that we always hear. But then how important is this phrase to the Ghanaian service provider? Today we hit the streets of Accra to find out the experiences of some Ghanaians and whether or not they think customer service has improved in Ghana. From my interaction with most of the people I engaged, it was obvious that customer service is indeed important.
In the banking industry, to me, for the banks that I deal with, yes, I'm fine. But when you go to, let's say, the supermarkets, mostly, I think the training has gone down. Most of them, instead of them attending to the customers, they tend to pay more attention to their phones than attending to you. And also, I believe we have customer service in the government sector as well. So sometimes when you go there, they pay more attention to their phones and chatting with their friends than paying attention to you, the client who is in need of something. Yes.
My friend had an accident from Kumasi. He had the surgery there. He fractured his arm. Then he came here for dressing since he stays here. Then a wound that is less than a week old. A nurse from, I don't know what kind of nurse she is. I don't know if she's a voluntary nurse or not. She just opened the wound, pressed it, and now 2 days later, the wound is rotten and it's infected. And now he needs plastic surgery. And all the hospital can do, tell us, is we should go to 37 military hospital for them to take care of us. They didn't compensate us. They didn't say anything about it. They didn't say anything to the nurse. Like, she wasn't querying nothing. So I feel like people now just want money from us. They don't want to know what we really need. The need of the customer is no more needed. Now it's just about money, 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 money.
For customers with special needs, such as those with disability, it is even more important.
We are doing good, but then we need to upgrade and then step up our game. Currently, we are having problems, and especially with the telecommunication networks. When you go, like, you make complaints and all that, sometimes they'll be talking a whole lot of stuff, like they don't make you feel comfortable. And with the banks. You go there, you see them with their cell phones. They hold their cell phones. They have divided attentions. They don't get to the customers, and they treat you. They think with your appearance, you are nobody. But that is wrong. The perception with blacks is different.
Rich, poor, young, old. Remember that every customer counts, as your business depends on their patronage. For Joy Business, Karen Dodu.
Indeed, you matter, and our viewers matter to us when it comes to customer service. Let's catch a flight to Washington, D.C. because the managing director of the International Fund, as IMF, Kristalina Georgieva, has been outlining her vision and plan for the organization. Speaking in her first interview on the first day at work, Georgieva actually said that they are looking at a very stable financial system. She's been speaking to the Internal Communication Department of the IMF.
On her first day, Kristalina joins us for a quick conversation. Welcome to the IMF, Kristalina.
Thank you very much, Kwabena. It is a great privilege to join you and everybody else at the IMF today.
We are happy to have you here. So tell me, how is your first day going?
It is great. It reminds me first day at school. Huge excitement, and then the hard work begins. And I look forward to the hard work as well.
So you come to this job with tremendous experience, having been at the World Bank, at the European Commission. What are your expectations from this job?
Well, it is an incredibly important institution. It is at the center of financial stability in the world. And we know that financial stability matters to everybody, because if you don't have it, then lives turn to the worse. And when we have it, economies can build, growth can be sustained, there can be jobs and improvements in the lives of people. So I take my job at the IMF as a huge honor and a responsibility. And what I hope to achieve through the 5 years of my term is for us to be successful in this most noble of objectives. Build strong economies for better lives of people.
All right, sure. So we've received a lot of questions, and we know you have a busy schedule. So what we've done is that we've put them into various themes. So let's play a game. I'm going to give you a phrase or a word, and you'll tell me what jumps to mind.
Yeah,
Sounds
okay.
good? Okay.
Sounds great.
Let's start. Emerging markets.
Diverse, dynamic, full of opportunities, and unfortunately risks to be managed well.
Okay. Glass ceiling.
To be broken. We don't need it. Christine broke the gender glass ceiling. I am very proud to have broken the glass ceiling for emerging markets. So it's the first, as you said, first MD coming from that group of countries.
Okay. Fintech.
Inclusion. This is the way we can make billions of people today that are not in the financial system to be part of it.
Sure. Income inequality.
Bad for everybody. It is bad for people who are left behind, but it is actually bad for those that may be rich and powerful, because no society can prosper with huge divisions among its members.
Okay. Social media.
Great fun.
Yes.
Thank you for having me here on that.
Okay. And finally, I have one before you leave. What is your favorite Bulgarian proverb?
My favorite proverb is one that my father used to say, and it is, do something good and throw it behind you. In other words, do good not for rewards, but because it is the right thing to do.
And on that word of the new IMF boss, do good to everyone. It's afternoon, and I know you're going to enjoy your day. This has been The Marketplace. My name is Georgieva. Have a good day, and remember to drop someone by or go somewhere to have some good lunch in the afternoon. All the best. Good day.